Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester again with the Todd Sylvester Inspires Belief Cast. Thank you for joining us once again. I want to thank all of you for believing in me and for being willing to take your time to listen to this amazing Belief Cast that we've been doing this now for over 2 years, which I didn't really realize until talking to our guest today. But I'm excited to have Mindy Buxton back. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me again. I'm love being here.
Yeah, it's gonna. She was. We were just talking off the air here that you were my fifth
number 5
Belief Cast, which was over 2 years ago, which kind of blows my mind. And now this will be the 112th one, and so we've come a long way since then. The listeners are just It's amazing. I think we're up around 70,000.
That is so cool.
And we're trending on iTunes and Google Play, and we've got a sponsor now, which I want to thank Veracity Networks. Thank you so much for believing in me. And I'm just grateful for amazing people like you, Mindy, who are willing to come and share some really powerful things, share a portion of your story. When I first had you on, you got really vulnerable and talked a lot about some of your struggles growing up. We may touch on that as well, because there's probably a lot of listeners today that maybe haven't heard your story and that kind of thing. But I just want to thank all of you for all the support. As we know, there's some trying times going on in the world right now with the coronavirus, and everyone's just kind of hunkering down and trying to figure this all out. But we'll get through this. We can do hard things, and I'm grateful to have Mindy on today to share some thoughts as well from her perspective. And, I think podcasts are great right now to be able to hear these great things and kind of boost us up during these times of need.
Yeah. How blessed are we that we have this technology, right? And how awesome is it that I love the work that you do, and you are able to touch so many people's lives. This is amazing that they don't even have to be in the valley, right? Close by, that
Right.
You can help and serve and affect people. We are so lucky that we have this technology right now.
Yeah, it is amazing. I have this program that tells me where all the listeners are at all over the world. And there was a couple downloads in Saudi Arabia. And I thought, wow.
How cool is that?
I thought that's pretty cool.
That is awesome.
But yeah, this technology is amazing. And, I'm grateful for people to hear your story again a little bit. And so why don't you give us a little background on you and, kind of a little bit about your family and where you grew up and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I am the oldest of 6 kids. I grew up in Sandy, Utah. I had 4 brothers until my cute little sister didn't come along until the end. I was getting ready to almost leave the house.
I bet.
Then, so
yeah.
I love, I'm grateful that I have her. She almost feels like my oldest daughter, not just my little sister.
Sure, I bet. Yeah.
Which is so great. I danced when I was younger. I've had health issues from the get-go. I've had kidney issues from, I think my first time that my mom said I went into the doctors was at 5 weeks old, was my first antibiotic, and my first surgery was 2. And so I grew up having some challenges and probably not being the healthiest kid.
Yeah.
I guess I loved dancing, but my hobby was more sitting and eating.
Yeah.
They didn't know it at the time. I did not know at the time, but I was a big binge eater, and that's how I handled a lot of, the challenges that I went through and being sick. And that's how I comforted myself. And I was really good at hiding it, because the first conversation that I had about this with my dad was just about probably 6 months after my first episode with you. So when I came on with you, it was in January.
Right.
And then I started organ treatments again the week that I saw you, actually. And then within a month after that, I actually lost my mom.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So it was a little crazy.
Yeah, crazy time.
And I had gone 21 years without having any episodes with using eating as kind of a crutch.
Yeah.
I even, I kind of skipped over all of the younger part of my story that you asked me about,
okay.
But I ended up becoming a personal trainer. I graduated in actually pre-law. I thought I wanted to go to law school, but my doctor, the year that I graduated high school, was the one that advised me to go see a nutritionist and to go see a personal trainer, that
Right.
some of the symptoms I had were probably, they could be controlled with lifestyle. So let's
Right.
give that a chance. So I actually did that. And as I was going through college, I worked with a trainer. I went to, back in the day, Whole Foods was Wild Oats. Do you remember that when it was a
Yes.
little grocery store?
Sure, yeah.
And then Whole Foods came in and bought them. They had a free nutritionist that talked on Tuesdays to people. So I went in, I learned more about food.
Mm-hmm.
And then because of that journey and because of the progress that I saw with my trainer, it just inspired me to change professions, because I thought my trainer has the best job ever. He gets to help people and it's flexible, because as a
Yes.
female, I started thinking, oh man, how am I
Yeah.
going to have kids as an attorney? And as my job was getting busier, I started realizing I don't have a whole lot of flexibility in the field that I thought I wanted to
Sure,
do.
right.
And then because I had a degree, I was able to take the CSCS test, which is someone who is, it's the Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist. You have to have
Right.
a degree to have it. So I could go and coach for any
Sure.
college teams or pro teams, be their trainer or one of their fitness experts. But my trainer helped me. It took me about 8 months to get certified, because I didn't get to learn kinesiology. They don't teach you that in pre-law. I didn't
Yeah,
learn
they
that.
kind of skip over that.
Yeah. I kind of wish back in the day I would have figured out that I needed some of those sports science classes.
Right,
'cause
right.
I did not get that in my schooling. But after about 8 months of studying, I went and took my national exam, and it's been 24 years this month I've been a personal trainer.
Yeah, I know you're a fitness and food coach at the LifeCentre for well over 20 years now,
Yeah.
like you just said. And it's interesting that you went through something really difficult as a young girl. And because of that, though, and that experience that you had by seeing this, nutritionist and stuff and a personal trainer, that you were like, this is what I need. This is what I want. And I want to just point that out, because when we go through something difficult, it's usually trying to wake us up to something really amazing or great in our lives.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, but I also have learned from the past 2 years, it is so hard to see that when you're in the middle of the difficulty.
Right. Yep, it is tough. But and that's the key. And it's one of the things I try to teach my clients, is that life happens for us. And you're right. When you're in the middle of it, that's the last thing you probably even want to hear. It's like, this is brutal. How is this even happening for me? But when we can look back, obviously looking back, we can go, okay, look at how I've grown because of what I went through. And had that not happened, I wouldn't be here, or it wouldn't have led to this. And so it's really beautiful what you do and how much you help people yourself with, finding their fitness goals, nutrition goals, but more importantly, an overall sense of well-being.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful to watch. So talk a little bit about, I want to point out, I've known Mindy for a long time. I've known her family. She's married to TJ Buxton, an amazing individual.
Yeah,
which
you interviewed him.
Interviewed
I
him
think
as
he
well.
was like 48 or something.
Yeah.
Episode 48.
Yeah, he was a while back as well, but
46.
he is an amazing individual. Mindy and TJ run the LifeCentre, and it's a great athletic facility or fitness facility for people to come to. And, you guys have been doing that for how long?
Yeah,
About the same amount of
he
time?
actually has been there since 92. I think he started as a
Dang.
janitor back then when it opened. And yeah, but it's our second family. That LifeCentre family. I love those members
Sure.
and the clients, just as my own family. We have an amazing group of people that it's a gym that is such a supportive atmosphere. There's people there to work out, not to be in a fashion show. They are
Right.
supportive of each other's goals. They take care of each other. We've had, because we've been there over 30 years, we've known families. We've seen people go through losing family members. We've had members pass away with cancer and strokes and other things.
Yeah.
It truly affects our entire gym and our whole community. We're really lucky because it's not a typical gym. It's not a typical workout center.
It really is. And I've been there, and it really is a family feel to it. like you do feel a part of the family, and especially with you and TJ, two of the nicest people could ever meet.
Well, thank you.
I mean, it's just the truth. I mean, you ask anyone who knows you guys, the nicest people ever, and that's such a great place for that reason.
We love our members.
And they know that. You know, you don't just say that. I mean, people actually feel that when they're there. They're like, man, these guys actually care about me.
Oh,
you know?
good. Thank you.
And you don't feel that at other places so much. You just don't. Some of these bigger chain places, you just don't feel it, you know. So you guys do a really fantastic job there, and you know, it's really great that it's in our community.
Yeah, we're lucky.
Absolutely. So, you know, one of the things, you know, I know that you're an example of health and fitness and happiness and, you know, just trying to, you know, be the best you possible. I know that there's certain things that you do to make that possible. Can you kind of talk about that and what you do to kind of keep yourself in those areas and strong in those areas?
Yeah. So routine is first and foremost. I think routine is so important. And first of all, it took me, when I first got into training, everything was about, okay, let's give people a food list and let's give them their workouts. So for a long time, I thought your well-being mainly has to do with food and fitness. Mm-hmm. And then as time went on and as people had different results based on what they were eating, it's so apparent now that, you know what, food is so individualized. You can't just give a food list and think everyone will have the same results on it, right?
Right.
Our physiology is so different. And so I've had to learn that it's about strategies, not necessarily specifics with food lists. But when people come to me, they're like, that's what they want, like the quick fix, the fastest way to get results. And they're kind of expecting a food list because this industry has trained them that, we'll give you diets and we'll give you the next best pill or the fad of the moment because you can get results on doing anything restrictive right out of the gate, right?
Yeah.
But for long-term health, it doesn't last. And so I've learned over time that you're probably, if I were to pick one thing over anything that makes the biggest impact on your health, it's sleep.
Really?
Yes, because if you are not getting adequate rest and recovery, and for what happens when our body's asleep, if that is not taking place, then you can have the cleanest diet and you can have your workouts, you will not see the best results. And sleep and stress, I've read about it for years. I see scientific research, but until my mom got sick and I was going through, I'm a crier, so hopefully I'm not going to be the biggest baby for the people at home. But until stress impacted me like I had never experienced it before, because I was eating still the way I always had. Yeah. I was still working out, even though I was helping take care of my mom and then take care of my kids as they were growing up at the same time, that I ended up having even some more health issues because my stress was not controlled and I wasn't getting the amount of sleep I needed. Right. Okay. And so that was kind of it became a lot more real than just what the textbooks say and what these scientific reports said. And then I also have witnessed it and watched it in my clients. And so I've learned, I actually ended up, I think it was 12 or 13 years ago, I wrote a book and it's called the BodyJoy Plan, but it was all these strategies because I had my clients coming to me saying, look at this book. Do you like this? This is what I'm going to follow. And all these books had some great points to them, but then every single plan took something to an extreme. And as soon as it did that, then I was kind of like, well, now I don't really back that because that message isn't something that is good for you long term. Or maybe it will help you lose weight right now, but it's not healthy. Right. And so over the years, I wrote this book and it's a bunch of strategies. And so it's not, you don't have to read it cover to cover. It's just, these are all the strategies that are helpful for you to be your best. And they're split up into mind, movement, and then meals. Oh, okay. And so there's different strategies so you can go to the parts that you need the most help with, or you could read it cover to cover.
Gotcha.
But then based off of that book, I've ended up doing this fitness challenge. And so every month I kind of hold these online challenges, and they're based off of like the most important 7 principles from that. And so lifestyle is as important and what you're doing outside of the gym as what you're doing in the gym. And so you and I were just talking about water. That's a huge one. Make sure you're staying hydrated, but getting at least close to 7 hours of sleep.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is the kind of the key, or what is the sweet spot for sleep? Is it 7?
Well, and that's what's kind of hard because, again, it's individualized. Some people, like my husband, he needs more than 7 to function and to be happy and to be healthy. But general terms of what's come out with the research, at a minimum of 7 is what is recommended. And then, and instead of having things be all or nothing in my challenge, because most of the time when I work with people, they try so hard to do everything 100% and be perfect, right? And a lot of us, especially people who have addictive tendencies, we kind of think black and white or in extremes, right?
Yeah.
Is that true? Do you think that's true?
Oh, you just described
whether it's
me.
a food addiction or a substance addiction, right?
If I don't go to the gym, I don't go to the gym
It's
ever.
all or nothing, right? And so what I've done is I've taken 7 things that I think are key for you seeing success, but instead of it being, you get all points or no points, if you don't get 7 hours of sleep, if you get 6 or more, then you get points for that. If you get 5 or more, then you get points for that. So it's helping you to see how you're doing. And my whole focus is on progress over perfection. And even though that's something that I've been teaching for so long, I still catch myself going into those perfectionistic tendencies.
Yeah.
And so it's just trying to say, like, look, we need to do our best because our best is still better than nothing at all, right? If you only have 15 minutes to work out instead of getting your 30 minutes, which is required in the challenge, then 15 minutes is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Let's do 15. And so it's helping us kind of transition out to the restrictive, forceful rules that the diet world, it does so well in selling products, but it is not the way that we are meant to live, and it's not what's best for our health long term.
Gotcha.
And so I love that that there's also things that we can do and all these things are simple. Hardly any of them cost money. Sleeping doesn't cost you anything.
Right, yeah.
Water,
yeah.
You have access to that. But isn't it funny that all of these simple things we overlook and we'll jump to, okay, what is the supplement I can take? Or, okay, what's the extreme on cutting out? Maybe I'll cut out all carbohydrates. And that we're willing to do that. But then it's like, no, just drink your water.
Have some water.
Right? Just drink your water. And you can still eat fruit, and you can still, all carbs are not bad.
Right.
And so it just is so funny how human nature, we're so wired to go to these crazy places.
Yeah, I'm so much like that. Like I'll find myself focusing on something, and I'll just go all in. And I kind of overlook those kind of things. But what's funny, even with my own clients who are dealing with addiction and stuff, it really is actually really simple.
Yes.
It's like, it's the simple things, but we overlook it. We think our problem's so big, so the solution's got to be gigantic. No, it's actually, let's go back to the basics.
Yes.
Go back to start doing these little things.
And that's what so I try to keep the routine to the basics, because if we have those in place, then those are building blocks for doing more, right? They're building blocks for either adding more to it, to either like fine tuning your diet even more. But I just love that we have to make things doable. That's kind of what I feel like differentiates me than other trainers, because I feel like there's a lot of people that are beast mode and go hard or go home, or no pain, no gain. And after almost 25 years of being in this industry, I've learned that is not the only way that we get results. And for a lot of people, especially if you've ever had any health conditions or autoimmune issues now are prevalent in our society.
That's for
and
sure.
It doesn't even matter what the condition is. The way to making them all better is the same method and approach that you use. And most of it is managing stress. It's eating real food instead of packaged food. It's still moving, but not overdoing it and doing too much or being not doing inappropriate movement for what your body can handle at the time.
Yeah, wow.
And so a lot of I just love that I get to go back to helping people find basics.
Yeah. No, that's beautifully said. I think a lot of us are, would need that, because it seems like, I work with a lot of clients who are on so many supplements. They've got every amino acid you could possibly think of, every multivitamin, all these proteins that are taken. And I'm just like, man, how much did you spend on that stuff?
Yeah.
And they're just like, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars every month. And so.
Well, and here's the sad thing. If you're not eating the way that you're meant to be nourished, then all of that stuff, all of that supplements should be an addition to a healthy lifestyle and diet, not in place of. But again, they're not going to make money if they tell you that, right?
Right.
So, and they're really, really good at convincing you need it and making it look like, oh, well, if you do this, then live off of Cheetos. You'll be great. And so it's hard.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's so hard the messages out there. I feel bad for just our whole community because the message is so confusing. Yeah. Like health and weight loss they're not always on the same page. And what works for one person may not work for the same person in that family. Yeah. And so it is individualized, but sometimes we're just not patient enough to give our body a couple weeks of trying one way to see if we are really feeling better. Because the first thing you notice is not going to be weight loss, but that's what everyone's looking for, right?
Right.
And so I feel like with the challenges and with how I just coach people, instead of putting the focus on weight loss and that being our end goal, our focus is on what to do every day and what to do the next moment.
Gotcha.
And when you're focused on that, then it's just so much easier to do the actions that you need to see your end goal. So it's kind of crazy how more people will see results when they take the focus off of weight loss and they put it on what the daily tasks are that are needed to be done to see the weight loss.
Yeah. That makes so much sense to me because really what you're doing is when you say you're focusing on weight loss, you're focusing on, look how fat I still am, or look at, I still got the love handles. So you're trying to motivate yourself with the reverse of an idea.
Yes.
So no, let's focus on, I'm just going to start getting in shape overall in every area. And then the weight will come off as kind of like a side effect.
Like a natural side effect.
Hey, I'm just starting to lose weight too. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you said that because I think a lot of us get stuck in that mindset.
I know. And that was something that I came to Todd when I think it was 6 months after my mom passed away or 7. Yeah. I realized, oh my gosh, I am back. I am noticing some of these behaviors that are not healthy behaviors. And I'm a person that, I was living in my routine and me of all people, I'm a coach. I help people overcome this. Right. But when it came down to grief and in the middle of my own dark place, I wasn't able to do it by myself. Yeah. And it was a real humbling reminder that, you know what? Everyone needs support and everyone needs coaching. And I tell that to people all the time. Yeah. But when it came down to it, that's where I reached out to you. Yeah. And in the moment, it was really hard for me to see positives. And because I was so numb I just had no clue that I had lost people close to me before. But that level of grief was so not what I had experienced, losing my best friend at 25 and other loved ones, my grandparents. I loved them too, but it was not the same as losing my mom. Yeah. And once I was aware that these behaviors were happening, I tried for a while on my own to correct them. And I just thought, you know what, this is not something I can do on my own. And so, gratefully, I thought you would be the best person for me in that moment. And you were able to help me start to refocus on positives again, because
Yeah.
it just, sometimes you get in a place and you don't even realize where you're at.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you need someone else to help point
Yeah.
things out to you. Or it was really good for me then to start having the accountability to you,
Yeah.
because I'm the accountability for my clients, and it wasn't interrupting at all my coaching with them. I was just kind of so perplexed how I could be doing what I was doing, but then
Sure.
they're helping them wasn't. I was fine with my coaching, but I wasn't fine with
yourself.
how I was dealing with my grief.
Wow. You know, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I look up to you, Mindy, in so many ways, and I always have. And for you to reach out in that time, it was a true honor for me to be able to be in a position to help you. And I really was I was actually kind of blown away. I'm like, man, I'm going to be meeting with Mindy Buxton, and it was really, truly an honor for me, actually. And it really showed me how strong you really are, because I think we're strongest when we're most vulnerable. And you were very vulnerable. You came up to me and you were talking about where you're struggling. And I just really admired that in you.
Well,
and it really made
you.
me, I already had a ton of respect for you, but for you to come and do that was my respect, just went off the charts with you.
Well, and I knew that you would, even though you and I chose different ways of dealing with our hard stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
I still feel like you know what it feels like to be so stuck in a place that you literally kind of are paralyzed and you don't know what to do. But I knew that staying there wasn't an option. And I, even as sad as I was and as much as I miss my mom, I never really had the thoughts of not being here,
right?
Because I thought, well, I know that that's not an option either, but it's so hard when you then feel paralyzed that you don't really know what to do.
Right.
And I think that it helped me realize too, yes, talking to people and reaching out and asking for help. And I had to talk to some other family members, but sometimes it freaks people out when when you come to them. And I don't know if you ever talked to anyone about your addiction before you went and sat down with that bishop that you got so much help with, that I loved reading your story more, because I knew a little bit about it from just knowing you, but I really loved reading about your story when your book came out. But it just it was so confirming to me that how much we need people. Absolutely. More than we even think. Yeah. Especially in our dark moments.
For sure. I couldn't agree more. Connection is the key. Feeling connected. Yeah. And when you and I even met, man, we were connecting on a level because we understood each other. I understood where you were coming from, and you felt like you were being heard, and I understood where you were coming from. And that connection in itself is powerful. Versus when you go to maybe someone who's close to you, like a family member, and I can relate with that, where they're like, oh, whoa, what's going on? Why are you struggling? Whoa, I don't know what to say. There's no really connection in that moment, and it's kind of scary.
It is scary, and it's hard because usually like family members are always there, and I've just never experienced anything where it was so kind of overwhelming for them to even know how to help me as well. Yeah. And again, and they were dealing with grief as well in their own way for losing my mom and their relationship with her. But something that was so interesting to me is, even though I talk about mind mills and movement, I've never felt like my brain was literally hijacked and rewired than what grief does. And I'm so grateful to know. I've always kind of known with the research, especially the last 10 years, there's so much research on that the brain is palatable and malleable, and it's adaptable based on the thoughts you have and what you do. And I'm so grateful that it's not a set thing, and that once you're in grief or you go through depression, that there are ways to retrain your brain. And it was weird to go from having kind of a healthier brain and it was easy to think positively before grief hit, than to try. I just didn't even feel like I recognized myself and my own thoughts for the longest time. Right. and being able to, you used a strategy with me that I use with my clients, and I wasn't even doing it with myself, but writing down positives and writing down gratitudes, even
Right.
if it's like the littlest success,
Yes.
it did not matter. Write it down so then I could have a tangible resource to look at when things even got worse.
Right.
Or now it's nice to be able to open up that book and be like, oh my gosh, look at where I've come from.
Right.
Because when you
For sure.
when you said that sometimes our most difficult challenges actually are our blessings,
Mm-hmm.
at the time, you don't want to hear that in the moment, but do you remember, so there was one time we got together and you looked at me and said, I have a question for you. And how is your mom's death the biggest blessing in your life?
Yes, I remember.
So I think I was quiet for a long time.
You looked at me like,
well, it was
what?
because it was everything that I could to not say the 4-letter words going in my head,
sure.
thinking, are you kidding me? Did you just say that to me?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then I thought, okay, that's not the healthiest response. And if it's striking that big of a chord, you know what? I need to listen to Todd. And maybe I do. Maybe it helped me realize that, you know what? I hadn't viewed
Right.
any of the past 7-8 months of missing my mom and losing her to where any of it could have been a blessing.
Right.
And so, but that was the best thing for me, because you had me start that night.
Mm-hmm.
I did go home and you had me just start with writing 3 or 4 things, and every single day writing 3 or 4 things of how is this a blessing?
Yeah.
And literally that was probably the biggest help to get me out of the numb, grief, depressed place that I was in. And maybe with time too, you start to get unnumb with grief.
Time helps us for sure.
Yeah, but that was able to help me, because I wasn't feeling good or bad, and that was a very uncomfortable place for me. And and that's where I was going to food to try to unnumb, because I thought, okay, feeling so sick and gross is more comfortable for me than being in that numb. That was just a scary place for me, because that was not comfortable to not feel anything.
Yeah.
But I wasn't feeling joy. But because of routine, like we talked about, I was praying every day, because you know that I have a different background than you. I grew up always praying. Yeah. And even though I wasn't feeling anything at the time, I just knew, you know what, I have to keep doing it. Yeah. Not faking it till you make it, but I know eventually what happens when I keep doing it. And so prayer was huge for me. And I remember reading in your book about the time that you got in the closet to pray, and that was that when you prayed out loud? Mm-hmm. I read your book over for so long ago, but I thought, you know what, it helped me. Even though I was a prayerful person, I started praying vocally more, and I feel like that also helped me start feeling just love and my Heavenly Father again, because it was just, I just have never had that experience where I was praying and not ever feeling comfort from it. But that was a hard place. Yeah. And my heart goes out to anyone who has experienced that, whether it's from drugs or pornography or grief and losing someone, that those feelings are the same feelings no matter why you're there. Yeah. And so it's challenging.
I'm so glad you shared that, because I really believe, and I learned this through my own experience, that adversity is our wake-up call to our greatness.
I love that you say that.
Because, yes, you went through something so difficult, and it's hard to lose someone, especially your mother, close to you. And I know I want to say this, because I don't want my listeners hearing this going, "Oh, Todd's so insensitive." But what I've found is that it truly is one of our hard times are really the wake-up call to how great we are. I mean, to see where you're at today and what you've been through, even over the last couple of years, truly proves it.
Yeah.
Like, you're a remarkable woman doing amazing things in life, who didn't give up, who fought through all of that, but you see it now as this, as a blessing. That in itself shows your greatness.
Yeah, and you know what? Every one of us has greatness in us, right?
Oh, for sure.
We come from greatness. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
And I don't think it matters if you're spiritual or not. Hopefully people can feel that you are created from greatness. And so I just think sometimes we need help on being reminded that. And I don't feel, I thought that tactic was very interesting, but I didn't ever feel like it was insensitive, which is kind of crazy at the time, especially for my initial reaction to it.
Right.
But I do love that. I just think coaches are so important in our life because it gives us that different perspective that we need. And obviously that was not something we talked about the first time I saw you.
Right.
We had a couple visits, and,
Sure.
and I feel like good coaches know when it's time to pull out tough love, so to speak, or to pull out something that's when you knew I was ready for that.
Yeah.
And you gave it to me and I'm grateful that you did, because it was hard.
Yeah.
And I also think, like anything that we're looking towards improving ourselves, whether it's with our fitness and our diet, or if it's just the place that we are in life, it's hard work.
Yeah.
And and sometimes it doesn't show up overnight. Results don't show up overnight, but we have to be consistent, because in that consistency is where the results end up being.
Yeah, absolutely. Consistency is the key.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Well, there's so much I want to talk to you about, but I know, since we last met, since we last did the podcast, which has been a while, as we mentioned before, you've talked about a lot of things that you've learned, kind of even specific things. And I know we've already talked about some of those. Is there something you could share with us that kind of maybe stood out to you through all of this? And I know you had a few things that you shared with me. Yeah,
definitely that focusing on your wins, the little wins and the gratitudes of every day, and physically writing them down.
Right.
Because that sometimes it's not enough to think about them, but there's something powerful about physically writing things down.
There's power in writing it down.
Yeah, and same with goals. When people talk to me about their goals, you can't just say it. We need to write it down on paper. We need to map it out, because just saying it is just a wish, right? A goal has to be tangible and measured, and only things that are written down are tangible and measured. Exactly. So that was a good wake up call for me to do that in other areas of my life, not my fitness only.
Okay.
And then that we truly are the ones that change our circumstances. Our coaches guide us and help us, but you were so good at helping me remember I am more powerful than I feel, and that even though it was my most broken time ever, I still had that greatness in me, and I'm the one that gets me to a better situation. Yeah. Not family members, not you. It's people can help guide you, but you as an individual are the one that has to do the work. Yeah. And that was good, because I feel like I was so beat down and tired physically and mentally that it helped me remember this is not the place I want to be stuck. I don't want to stay here. Right. And so I didn't have any other choice but to start putting the work in and moving forward. And so, because there were definite times that I kind of felt like giving up, right, or just not doing it. And especially with some of my health stuff, I remember talking to you about, oh my gosh, these rounds of organ treatments are starting again, and I guess I wasn't forced to go do them, but if I didn't, I would not be in a good place. I'd be in an even worse place. And so when we're in bad places, we just have to take whatever little step it is to keep moving forward. Right.
Yeah, it's very well said. And it's, again, meeting with you back then was really inspiring for me, just to see how you took the feedback and you implemented it and you started working on it. And so, like I said, you did the work. I just kind of guided for a minute, and you just all right, you latched onto it and you went and did it. And that's why things opened up and you got successful and on the level of where you're at today even.
Oh, thanks.
It's fun to
Well,
watch.
and it is kind of awesome how your challenges do make you better, because I am so much better of a coach now than I was 2 years ago.
For sure.
And my empathy is so much stronger, and I've had clients that have lost close loved ones, and the way that I was coaching them back then is so different than people now who are losing loved ones.
Sure.
And it's kind of crazy that you don't know what you don't know until you go through it.
Exactly.
And I'm grateful that I do have all of this experience now to make me a better coach and more successful for my clients, for them to see success.
Yeah. And I think that's why people really love being around you, because not only you're coaching with authenticity because of what you went through. It's authentic now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that it wasn't before, because it was, but man, it's on another level because of what you went through. And so that's where people feel safe. That's where people go, oh, wow, I can, Mindy's helping me with my fitness and my diet, but more importantly, she's helping me with my just feeling joy again in my life and realizing I'm okay kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's the most important, right? Because if you don't have that, it doesn't matter how healthy you are.
Right.
If you aren't happy and if you don't have joy.
What's the point, right?
Yeah. It doesn't matter what your waist size is if you feel
miserable,
like crap about yourself all the time.
Yeah.
Well, and hopefully people realize too, because sometimes just being in the fitness world and being around coaches and being in a gym where people come to coaches all the time, know that coaches are not perfect. Coaches don't do everything 100%. We probably practice these healthy principles and strategies more than regular people, but you do not, hopefully people aren't intimidated that, the trainers are so perfect. It's intimidating to come to them. No, we still eat our feelings sometimes. We still sleep in instead of working out.
Yep.
But most of the time, we're sticking to the strategies that we know. But we're human.
Human beings.
And everybody, no matter how much you know or how well you know strategies, everyone has moments where they struggle.
Right.
And so we are relatable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I know right now you're doing this BodyGym challenge, and I know you've been on QVC with Marie Osmond for the BodyGym. Can you explain to our listeners what that is and what the challenge is, and if they want to get involved, or maybe the next time it comes around, because maybe this one's closed, but I don't know how that works.
Yeah, well, actually, today is day one, and so when is this airing? If you put this on, it's actually going to be
airing today.
Okay, so
yeah, because we were supposed to meet on Friday.
That's right.
But yeah, it's going to actually air later tonight.
Okay, well, going back to the blessing of technology, back in the day when I started training, it was only people coming to me to work out with them in person. But because of the internet, I run these private Facebook groups, and they are 28-day challenges.
Yes.
And it is based off of the 7 principles that I took out of my book, that what we've talked a little bit, there's hydration is in there, exercise. And then this month I've added the BodyGym, which is an at-home product. It's a banned product that it's sold over 1 million units on QVC. Marie Osmond is our spokesperson, but I've actually had it for 17 years. Is the first
Has it been 17?
time that Doug came to me, the creator of it, and said, I want you to play with this. And there's a plastic bar that comes apart, so it's less than 3 pounds, so you can take it with you anywhere. And because of the bar and the band, you can literally replace an entire gym full of equipment and do every single exercise with that you can in a gym. And so we've been using it at the Life Center for 17 years. I've used it in my boot camps. The months that I use that with my ladies, they would drop more inches than when I did free weights. And and here's the reason why it's interesting, Todd. Bands are awesome. And people will look at them and be like, can this do anything? Especially the people that love their heavy weights, right?
Weights, yeah.
Well, bands work your muscle on both sides of the contraction, where free weights just workout on the one side. And so you almost get a little more bang for your buck. And men are even more skeptical about bands than women are. But the owner of it, he used to actually play in the NBA. And he created it because he was older and he knew that missing a workout was not an option to keep up with the younger guys to keep his job, right? And back then, gyms were antiquated and they were not open 24/7 the way that some gyms are open now. And so that's what he used to stay healthy and fit and to keep up with being able to be an NBA player.
Right.
So that's kind of where it came from. And then his wife had looked at it and she was like, all you need to do is put decals on this. Should be a women's product. So the cool thing about BodyGym is the instructions are literally in pictures on it. So all you have to do is look at it and it shows you what to do.
Go,
There's 19 exercises, I think, pictured on the bar, the front and back side. And so I am using that in my challenge right now so people can work out at home. And this challenge was set up a month ago. I had already announced that I was starting it today. And just with how the world has gone, it's, I guess, a blessing for all of the people in it because now they still have workout options to do at home. So I'm giving them workout options. They have this community that they get points for everything we do in it. It's what to do in health and fitness, not what to not do.
Right.
And so you get points for what your level of participation is.
Gotcha.
And so that's how that's run. And so if anyone, especially if they're your listeners, if they want to join, I would be happy to add them because today is day one and Todd's in it. This is our first time. Todd reached out to me a couple of weeks ago about his nutrition and
I need some work.
And so I thought this will be the best way to help you with your goals. Yeah. And so Todd will be participating in the group with you if anyone wants to join. And they could just either go to, they could message me on either Facebook or Instagram or.
Yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to point out. So you have a few books that you've written and videos and some training videos and all that stuff. You have a website, it's mindybuxton.com, correct?
mindybuxton.com.
Is that the best way for them to kind of reach out to you?
Yeah, because from that, it does have my Instagram and my Facebook, but just if they send me a message, whether it's through my email or any of those platforms, I'll get it personally. And then all they have to do is have a Facebook account because that's how they're added to the private group.
Gotcha.
And it's awesome because it's the workouts that I give can be done by any level. I have people that are new and people that are literally coming back into workouts from being a couch potato. And then I also have athletes in there. And so everyone does the same workout, but they do it based on their ability. They modify if there's a inappropriate exercise based on a pre-existing condition, but it's doable on every level. And then based on how much you want to change your food, you can either get all points or you can get some, but I don't push any supplements on there was a couple of protein powders and some probiotics that I have on my website that I've done in challenges in the past, but it's my stick is I want you eating real food. Yeah. And so we're doing this with real food and on the videos that I put in there and show you, I do, I'll open my fridge and show everyone what I'm eating and how we're doing, how I do food prep. So videos to make it easy too, because real food does not have to take up a lot of time. Right.
Wow, I love it. Very cool and a very good challenge. And how would someone get a body gym?
They can either go to bodygym.com because they have their own website. And I think that I also can give them a link too. So everyone in the challenge, I did give them a link so they can directly go to BodyGym to buy that. But yeah, it's there. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon now too. Okay. And yeah, it's. I think we're going back in April for QVC. Oh, right on. Based on how the world turns, we'll see if that's. But that's the plan right now. So, yeah, if they just go to bodygym.com, they can read all about it there too. And they have an Instagram as well. It's the BodyGym, and so if you look at most of my stuff, I copy and I also will repost their stuff so they can look at it at either my place or the BodyGym website. Okay. There you go. That's awesome. So it's mindybuxton.com. Yeah. Will you spell that out for the listeners? MindyBuxton. Buxton.
Okay, just making sure so they got the spelling correct, because
Yeah.
they might look it up and go, hey, I'm not finding it, but they probably spelled
and
it
there's
wrong.
many ways
There's
to
many
spell
ways
Mindy
I know.
and Buxton.
And Buxton, exactly. Well, so, maybe to kind of close this out, can you give a challenge to our listeners, and maybe not so much on the fitness side, which we've already done,
Okay.
but maybe someone who's just struggling out there who may have lost a loved one or who is just trying to find their place in the world kind of thing. Can you give us, our listeners and myself, a challenge?
Yeah, I would say pull out a notebook and start writing your 3 positives or wins or successes for every single day.
Okay.
And you
Love that.
and you can find 3.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how crappy rock bottom is. You should be able to find 3 things.
Yeah.
And then keep building on it.
And I think that's really good too. Good advice and a good challenge, especially now with, kind of what's going on in the world with the coronavirus and that. I think it might, sometimes we might get overwhelmed, like this is a scary thing. But I think even writing, hey, what are some things we're really grateful for? And again, I think this is all happening for us.
I
think at the end of the day, we'll look back and go, man, it's made me really look at things that are most important in my life and kind of get things in line, that kind of thing. So, but I think that's a really good challenge for all of us.
Well, and we still, even though I know you wanted non-movement tips, I think I've already had a lot of DMs the last couple of days about people kind of being nervous about moving and keeping a routine. Go outside, get outside, even if it ends up, I know today is a pretty day here in Utah. We're supposed to have snow in a couple days. Bundle up, go outside. We get so much grounding and peace and calmness from being outdoors. Move outside and use this time to bond with your kids. My teenager is all about the TikToks right now. So we are, her dad and I are
I've seen a few of those
to
those are
entertain
awesome.
her. But guess what? It's how we get our movement in, right?
I love it.
We're sweating while she's trying to teach us this 15-second dance move. So if you have little kids, run around the house with them, play with them, do active games. So let's keep moving and let's keep our gratitude going right now.
Beautiful. That's great advice, Mindy. Keep moving and keep the gratitude flowing. Well, I can't thank you enough for spending some time with us today and to share, again, a portion of your story, but also just kind of your insight and overcoming some really tough times in your life over the last couple of years. Thank you for being willing to share those things.
Well, thank you. And thank you for helping so many of us. You are an awesome light and a blessing too.
Well, that means a lot
to us in this world. So thank you for sharing and doing what you do.
You're welcome, and thanks for saying that. And there you go, listeners. Another amazing Belief Cast, and Mindy's an amazing individual. Please reach out to her. Please ask her any questions. She's so open, so what would you call? The word is so approachable. That was the word I'm looking for. You're so approachable. So please reach out to her. Please, any questions that you may have, and share this with anyone you know that might be struggling. Even some of the younger kids who might be thinking, "Oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end," that kind of thing. Let them listen to this Belief Cast. This will help pick them up and feel a lot more secure about what things are going on in their lives. So.
Yeah, I'm going to use it for. I'm going to continue to use listening to podcasts as when I'm on my walks or doing my own workouts. I love that. It's one of the best ways to help keep my mind onto positive thoughts. So I love it.
Okay, beautiful. Well, thanks again, listeners, and thanks for believing in me and tuning in all the time. This is wonderful, and until next time.